Hey, welcome. I'm Ashton, or Mr. Ree. So today, I wanted to dive a little bit about physical packages of Jubensha or Murder Mysteries. So I wanted to share with you a little bit about what I've known or found out and my general impressions of their general categories and the differences between Chinese Jubensha from China and Japanese Murder Mysteries from Japan. So again, I'll be talking about physical packages, meaning you play them physically, and omitting things like online games or mobile apps, but they all do exist, but perhaps that will be for a future video. So for physical games, generally they are split into two ways to play them. First is the players buying their own package games box and playing it in their own location. The other way is to go as a group or go individually to a store location for a performance that may include people from outside / strangers. So I'll be going through the general difference of categories that they have and some differences between the categories and also between these two countries and their approach. So first of all, very simple. They are box games that you can buy, you can play at your own leisure. So there are a lot of different sizes, designs, etc. So because almost all of them are made by sort of indie and smaller creators, so you will have very different looks and they are not standardized in any shape or form. So here I have just two very simple examples. One of them is from it's Chinese, from China, and the other one is from Japan. So, but they both approach it in a very similar way when they target for individual groups. So first of all, one of the main defining things is that they design it to be GM-less. GM-less meaning that all of the players, all of the whole group, they are all players, they are characters within the game, and no one has to take on a specific GM role in the sense that you can immediately buy the box, you immediately play. There is a sort of a rules or progression book that guides you through all of the admin stuff. So this is important because it makes being able to play that particular title a lot easier. Secondly, they usually target for a slightly smaller player count, so around 5 players, smaller box size as well. So the importance of being smaller group size, because A, it's easier to gather the appropriate amount of players within your groups and your the people you know, your friends, right? And secondly, because you're playing in your own location, most likely your own home, you may not have as much space for or as big of a table. So having a smaller player count is beneficial. For Japan side, also recently I've been really noticing that they have been trending not only from 5 players but also at a lower player count, on 4 and even 3 players. There is quite a bit of options there. So this is sort of your first tier where you have box packages produced for sort of home or personal games. Next, for the Chinese side, up one tier is sort of this kind of bigger boxes. They are sort of like this kind of board game, mid-weight board game size, where from what do you call them? They are more targeted for shops. So what I mean by that is that their price point is usually kind of an order of magnitude higher. They would also include commercial rights within the purchase itself. So this is for shops to buy the game at a much higher price point. Then they are able to perform and collect performance fees. And the difference, apart from the size and the price, is that the approach in the design first almost always includes a GM, because if you are a shop, you can dedicate a person and then a lot more time for the preparation. Secondly, the player count can be higher. For the Chinese side, I noticed that they generally still maintain about 5 to 7 players, around that range. Whereas for the Japanese side, the smaller box packages for home use usually targets around 5 players-ish. Whereas for the games at stores, it's quite a bit more obvious that it is at 7 players, give or take, right? The next important point for design-wise, not only do they require a GM, but the other requirements or the things they expect you as a GM to be able to do is a lot more different than if a box package. Even if they require a GM, it might not require to this extent. What I mean is that they might require you to get your own props, your own preparations. It may include having 2 or 3 NPCs of a certain gender or certain age having interactions at the same time. So for a shop, it's a lot easier to get NPCs because you have your other GMs, part-timers, etc. And one very important thing is also the location requirements. It may require you having a separate room that you prep that has an NPC inside, or have certain special props or effects, etc. Things that you may or may not even be able to do in your own home. Like one of my friends shared that he was reading the setup for one of the games that he bought that he originally wanted to host, and one of the requirements was that you have to prepare sort of a 3 to 4 meter long corridor that is dark and that you have control over the things happening at both ends. So obviously that is not something that we can do, and he simply kept the book and kept the title away. So there are certain things that they would simply put in without any hints or revealing them right before you get them. So this is sort of the second tier. Again, home use, GM-less, probably lower player count. This is much higher price point, almost definitely having a GM, may or may not have quite a harder requirement or prep required, right? So because they are for shops. Now moving on to sort of the next category is what they would call sort of exclusive or limited titles. So again, these are titles that even though they are much higher price point, anyone can buy them, including individuals. So you can host this and play this at home with your own group. Whereas the next category is for titles that are limited to stores, right? They are again an order of magnitude higher in price that where shops will have to purchase them commercially. And the main sort of the differentiator is that they would be exclusive or limited in some way. In addition, from being only available in shops, they might have sort of city limited, in the sense that in this particular city, only say 3 or 5 shops can own this title, and hence only these 5 shops can perform them. It might be limited in the whole country scale, right? Only 1 store in the whole country has this particular title. So there is this additional draw for scarcity, in addition to it only being available in stores. But of course, the caveat is that even though they may be exclusive, it does not necessarily equate as it being a great title, right? There is no correlation there. So that is for China, these 2 tiers. Now, going back to Japan. So again, you have your similar GM-less for home use, but once they you go into the category where you target shops, right? They do not create sort of this physical production that is available for consumers to purchase, for individuals like us. So there is no physical representation for those titles, and for those titles, the designers or the shops themselves, they directly liaise with each other. And so in that sense, for Japan, there's a lot more titles that are only exclusive to shops' performance, because again, for China, I can still get them even though they are a lot more expensive, but for Japan, it is straight up not available. Of course, some designers do release a home edition or a box version afterwards. It may or may not be the exact same one as exact same content or same details as the stores, but that is probably for another story. Okay, what else am I still missing? I think generally I covered the sort of different categories a bit as briefly and as succinctly as I could. If you have any questions, if you want to see more, do let me know. I will definitely create more videos to follow up on this and other Jubensha topics.